We live in a world drowning in manifestation advice, vision boards, affirmations, scripting, gratitude journals, and yet most people are still waiting, still hoping, still wondering why the life they want feels just out of reach. But what if everything you've been taught about manifestation is only the surface? What if there exists a deeper current beneath it all, older, more precise, more powerful, that almost nobody talks about? His name was Neville Goddard. And in the quiet decades of the mid-20th century, while the world rushed past him, this Barbadian mystic from New York was quietly teaching something that would have shaken the foundations of every self-help book ever written. Neville didn't teach you to ask the universe for things. He taught something infinitely more radical, that you are the universe, that your imagination is not a tool you use, it is the very substance from which reality is made. God and I are one, he said, not metaphorically, literally, and that God, that infinite creative power, lives in you as your own wonderful human imagination. What you are about to hear are not motivational quotes. These are 10 laws, 10 precise, tested, transformative principles drawn directly from Neville's own lectures and writings. Laws that, when truly understood and applied from the inside out, do not merely change your circumstances, they change the dreamer who is dreaming them. Before we go deeper, do something right now. Hit that like button if you're ready for real transformation. Not the surface kind, but the soul-level kind. And type this in the comments to plant it in your consciousness. My imagination creates my reality. Subscribe to this channel because what we're building here is not a feed, it's a school. And please stay with every word of this video. The law that changes your life might be the very next one you hear. Law 1. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything begins here. Without understanding this first law, the other 9 are merely interesting ideas. With it, they become instruments of genuine power. Neville Goddard declared with absolute certainty that consciousness is the only reality, not one of many realities, the only one. The world you see, the people, the circumstances, the opportunities and obstacles are not causes. They are effects. They are the outer projection of an inner state. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change the screen while never touching the projector. They hustle to rearrange outer conditions, never realizing that outer conditions are simply the shadow of consciousness made visible. Think about a dream at night. While you're inside it, it is completely real. The people are real. The fear is real. The joy is real. Only upon waking do you see it was a projection of your own mind. Neville taught that waking life is no different. It is a dream projected outward by the deeper dreamer within you. This changes everything. When something in your outer world disturbs you, you don't fight it, you go inward. When something in your outer world is missing, you don't chase it, you create it. In consciousness first. Because consciousness is not where you go after you've changed your life. It is where you go to change it. The moment you accept this, truly accept it in your bones, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become what Neville called you, the operant power, the one who acts, the one who creates. Say this in the comments if it landed for you. My inner world is creating my outer world. Law 2. The law of assumption. If consciousness is the canvas, assumption is the brush. Neville's most foundational practical teaching was this: whatever you assume to be true becomes true in your experience. Not because of luck, not because the universe decides to reward you, but because assumption hardens into fact through the iron law of consciousness reflecting itself outward. He wrote, "An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact." This is the great liberating terror of Neville's teaching. Liberating because it means you are never stuck. You can always assume differently. Terrifying because it means every limitation in your life right now is an assumption you are currently faithfully holding as true. Your assumptions about money, about love, about what you deserve, about how hard life is. about whether people like you. These are not observations. They are creative acts, and they are building the world around you, brick by brick, moment by moment. The practice is simple and demanding. Choose your assumption deliberately. If you want to be loved, assume you are loved. Not someday, not conditionally, but now, completely, already. If you want abundance, assume you are an abundant person. Not when the money arrives, but before it does, because the assumption must come first. Live from the assumption as though it were already the most natural thing in the world, because if you hold it long enough, it will be. Drop this in the comments if you're ready to assume your way to a new life. I assume the best, and life confirms it. Law 3. Live in the end. Here is where most manifestation teaching fails. It tells you to visualize your desire, to think about it, to feel excited about it, and all of that is fine. But Neville pointed to something more precise, more powerful, and far less common, and he called it living in the end. Not imagining the journey to your desire, not the moment of achieving it, but the state of consciousness that exists after it has already happened. The you who already has it, the you who has already arrived. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he wrote. Not the feeling of wanting it, not the feeling of hoping for it, the feeling of its fulfillment as a present, breathing, lived reality in your inner world. There is a world of difference between a person who desperately wants a thing and a person who already has it. Their posture is different. Their inner conversation is different. The way they enter a room is different. The way they sleep is different. Neville said, "Become that second person, now, before the evidence arrives, and the evidence has no choice but to follow." This is not pretending. This is creation. An architect doesn't pretend the building exists. They hold the complete design in their mind with full certainty before a single brick is laid. You are the architect of your life. Draw the design from the end, not from the beginning. Your outer world is always catching up to your inner world. Give it somewhere magnificent to arrive. Law 4. The power of the pruning shears of revision. Most people believe the past is fixed, done, unchangeable. They carry its weight forward into every new day, every new relationship, every new attempt, dragging yesterday's failures into tomorrow's possibilities. Neville Goddard taught something that will sound impossible until you try it, and something that will sound obvious once it works. He called it revision. Revise your day, he instructed. Each evening, before sleep, take any moment from that day that did not go as you wished, a difficult conversation, a disappointment, a rejection, and replay it in your imagination as it should have gone. Not as it did go, as it should have gone. Feel the revised version, hear the new words, sense the better outcome. This is not wishful thinking about the past. This is working with the understanding that time is not the rigid river we believe it to be. Neville taught that consciousness, properly directed, can alter the meaning and trajectory of past events, not by changing what happened, but by changing the state from which you carry it forward. A wound that you revise into a lesson stops bleeding into your future. A failure that you revise into a redirection stops defining your next attempt. You are not rewriting history, you are rewriting yourself. And it is yourself that creates history. Begin tonight. Take one moment from today and revise it. Feel the better version completely. Sleep on it. Watch what tomorrow reflects back to you. Law 5. Your self-concept is your destiny. Of all the things you imagine throughout the day, and you imagine constantly, there is one image more powerful than all the others combined. It is the image you hold of yourself. Neville was uncompromising on this point. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are, or more precisely, what you believe yourself to be. Your self-concept is not one factor in your manifestations. It is the master factor. Everything else, your techniques, your visualizations, your affirmations, is operating within the boundaries your self-concept has already set. If you believe, at your core, that you are the kind of person things work out for, that belief will color every interaction, every decision, every opportunity you notice or miss. If you believe, beneath all your positive thinking, that you are fundamentally unlucky, unworthy, or not quite enough, that belief will quietly, consistently, faithfully produce a life that confirms it. The work, therefore, is not primarily to change your circumstances, it is to change your sense of self, to expand your concept of who you are until it includes the life you desire as a natural expression of that self. Ask yourself honestly, what kind of person do I believe I am? Deep down, not what you tell others, not your affirmations. What do you actually feel yourself to be when no one is watching? That answer is your current set point, and it can be revised deliberately, persistently, until the new self-concept is so natural it no longer requires effort. It simply lives. Post this in the comments if you're claiming a new identity today. I am the person my desires are looking for. Law 6. The state akin to sleep. SATS. Neville Goddard was not interested in willpower. He was interested in something far more efficient, the drowsy, hypnagogic state that exists in the threshold between waking and sleep. He called it the state akin to sleep, SATS, and he considered it the most fertile soil in which imagination could plant its seeds. Here is the science beneath the mysticism. In that half-asleep state, your conscious, critical mind begins to relax its grip. The defenses, the doubts, the habitual arguments against your desires, they soften. And in that softened state, the images and feelings you hold in your imagination sink directly into the subconscious, which has no capacity to reject them and every capacity to manifest them. Neville's instruction was specific. As you drift into sleep each night, hold a single scene in your imagination, not a long story. A single scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. A conversation where someone congratulates you. The feeling of a key in a new door. The sensation of looking at a bank statement that fills you with peace. Hold the scene. Feel it real. Let sleep take you while you're inside it. He called sleep the doorway into the subconscious. And each night, you walk through it. The question is only what you carry with you across the threshold. Your fears, your doubts, your old stories, or your chosen, luminous, already fulfilled, desired state. Tonight, choose deliberately. Fall asleep inside the life you are building. Let your sleeping mind receive what your waking mind has declared. Law 7. I am is your creative name. Two of the most powerful words in any language, and you use them dozens of times a day, mostly without realizing you are speaking creation into existence with every utterance. I am. Neville taught that I am is not just a phrase, it is the name of God, the name of the infinite creative presence, and it lives in you as your own sense of being, your own awareness of existing. Whenever you say, I am, you are invoking that creative power and attaching it to whatever follows. I am tired. You are calling tiredness into being with divine authority. I am always broke. You are signing a creative decree with the most powerful signature in the universe. I am blessed. I am capable. I am the kind of person things work out for. Each of these is equally creative, equally binding, equally faithful in its production. This is not grammar. This is cosmology. Begin to listen, really listen, to how you complete the sentence that begins with I am throughout your day. You will discover your autobiography. You will see, written in those two words repeated endlessly, the precise blueprint of the life you are currently building. And then, gently, deliberately, persistently, begin to complete that sentence differently. Not with what is, with what you intend. Not with what has been, with what shall be. I am enough. I am provided for. I am becoming the person my desires are calling forth. Say it until the new completion feels more natural than the old one, because one day it will. Law 8. Persist and do not waver. Every seed knows a period of darkness before it becomes a flower. Between the planting and the blooming, there is silence and patience and the willingness to trust what you cannot yet see. Neville Goddard was a man of extraordinary faith, not blind faith, but the informed faith of someone who understood the mechanics of consciousness. And he returned again and again to one word that separated those who manifested from those who merely hoped: persistence. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and observe how swiftly and wonderfully it unfolds, he wrote. But he also cautioned the unfolding operates on its own timeline. The bridge of incidents, the natural, logical chain of events through which your assumption becomes reality, must be allowed to build itself. And that requires you to persist in your assumption while the bridge is still invisible. This is the test. When circumstances haven't changed, when the evidence still looks like the old story, when the doubts come, as they always do, with their very reasonable-sounding arguments, in those moments, the question is not, will the law work? The law always works. The question is, will you persist in your assumption long enough for it to harden into fact? Neville called this wearing the feeling as you would a garment. You don't put on a coat, feel slightly uncomfortable, and immediately take it off. You wear it, day after day, until it shapes itself to you, until it becomes simply what you wear. Your desired state is your garment. Wear it, not when circumstances confirm it, now, until they do. Law 9. The bridge of incidents. Trust the how. One of the greatest sources of suffering in manifestation is the desperate attempt to control how the desire arrives. People get so attached to the specific path, the specific person, the specific series of events, that they miss the miraculous routes the universe is actually building for them. Neville Goddard was very clear. Your job is the what and the feeling. The universe, your own deeper consciousness, handles the how. He called it the bridge of incidents. Once you have truly assumed the state of the wish fulfilled, a series of events will begin to organize themselves, naturally, logically, sometimes astonishingly, to move you toward the physical expression of your inner state. Coincidences that aren't coincidences, conversations that open unexpected doors, the right book falling from the shelf, the phone call that arrives from nowhere. You did not plan these. You could not have planned these. They are the outer world rearranging itself to match your inner world, and they will not look the way you thought they would. They will be better, stranger, and more elegantly connected than anything your anxious planning mind could have designed. Your only task is to hold the end state, to live from the fulfilled desire, to remain in that inner posture of arrival, and then to move. Take the inspired steps that present themselves, follow the nudges, act on the openings, but release the architecture of the how with an open hand. You are not the general manager of the universe. You are its co-creator, and co-creators trust their partner. Type this if you're releasing the need to control the path. I trust my consciousness to build the bridge. Law 10. Imagining creates reality. The final revelation. We arrive now at the crown of Neville Goddard's entire teaching, the law beneath all other laws, the truth that once truly seen cannot be unseen. Imagining creates reality, not attracts it, not invites it, not aligns with it, creates it. Your imagination is not a secondary faculty, a nice, creative hobby you engage in when you're not doing the real work of life. It is the real work. It is the only work. It is the substance from which the world is perpetually being made. God is your own wonderful human imagination, Neville declared. Not a being outside you who may or may not grant your requests. Not a force you must petition or appease. The infinite creative intelligence of the universe is the imagination you are using right now to read these words, to picture the faces of people you love, to dream of the life you want. That imagination, your imagination, is holy. It is the most sacred thing you possess, and it is ceaselessly at work. The question has never been whether it is creating, it is always creating. The question is only, creating from awareness or from habit? From intention or from fear? From your chosen assumption or from the accumulated weight of an unexamined past? This is the final law because it is both the beginning and the end of Neville's teaching. You came into this life as imagination clothed in flesh, and everything, every relationship, every achievement, every loss, every miracle is imagination made visible. So imagine greatly, imagine deliberately, imagine with the full understanding that you are not daydreaming about a future that might happen. You are building right now in the only place where building ever actually occurs. Your own wonderful, divine, endlessly creative human imagination. This is who you are. This is what you can do. This is the truth that Neville Goddard spent a lifetime trying to give the world. Now it's yours. These 10 laws are not a system to be memorized. They are a mirror to be looked into, deeply, honestly, repeatedly, until you recognize the face looking back at you, not the face circumstance has been shaping, the face you were born wearing, the infinite, imaginative, creative being that you have always been. Neville Goddard said it best. You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. The world needs you to see it. If something in this video shifted something in you, share it with someone who is ready. Leave a comment with the law that hit you hardest. Subscribe to this channel, because this is only the beginning of the school we are building here together. And come back, because there is so much more of Neville's genius to unpack, and we will do it together, one truth at a time. Until then, imagine greatly, live from the end, and remember, your imagination is God in action.